Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome into the Buccateers podcast, your home for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rumors, news, hot takes, and so much more. I'm your host, Tampa Tones, alongside our co-host, Stunna today. Not sure if any of the other Buccateers will be in the building. We got a very special Battle of the Bays edition podcast in store today. We got my man we'll bring in after our intro here shortly, Mr. Tommy Brown, relative of Ray Nitschke, Packers Hall of Famer, member of the Air Force. My man, I coached in baseball, played with in baseball. We go way back, so super excited. Honestly, been like fucking 10 years since we talked or some crazy shit. We've been keeping up, but he's a big Packer guy. We're here to talk about that. We got Stun in the building. We're live on Buccateers YouTube. We're live on Bucs Life Media News Facebook. You could ask us questions and we'll answer them live. You could tweet at us at Buccateers, follow us on Instagram, Buccateers Pod, and so much more. Without further ado, we'll roll the intro and we'll get going. This is the Buccateers. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Buccateers intro. Once again, you're tuned into the Buccateers podcast on YouTube or Facebook, and you can catch a replay on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, and so much more. Without further ado, we're going to bring in my man, Tommy Brown, big-time Packer fan. Already introduced him with his other credentials. He's out of this world. Can't wait to pick his brain about football a little bit today as he puffs on his Joe Burrow over there. Mr. Tommy Brown, how the hell we doing, my friend? Great to talk to you. Great to see you. Hope everything's been great.
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh, living the dream, rooting for the Bucs. Last time we talked, the Bucs were a lot different of a franchise, and for the most part, Packers have stayed the same damn near. So pretty interesting tale of two bays there.
Speaking of a lot different, I got the NFC Central Division Champion hat on right now. Figure I'd throw that your way. That's those.
We won that.
That was a different Bucs team.
Yeah, that was when we were, that's like pre-puberty Bucs. Now we're the grown-ups.
Yeah, I got a request. We can't say the name Kevin King on this podcast. Okay, tonight.
Stunna, you hear that?
I didn't know he still played there.
No, he doesn't. I think the last game he played there.
I think he's a free agent.
It was actually last year.
Yeah, I think
he played last year. They picked him up, but against Packer fans' wills, they signed him to a one-year deal last year. But once they got Rasul Douglas, that was game.
For those of you who are unaware of Kevin King, that was our lovely picture, Scotty Miller falling into the end zone with Kevin King in the background, I believe. So it'll be a fun time tonight talking Bucs, talking Packers. My lady's a cheesehead, Olivia, she's a Packer fan. So I know a lot about Green Bay, and, not that I follow them, but I keep up with every NFL team. So I'm very interested to talk tonight about the Battle of the Bays here on the Buccateers. So great to have you, man. It's awesome. Stunna, what say you, my friend? Welcome in tonight. As always, brother, ready to talk some Buccaneers ball.
Always ready to talk some Bucs ball. We got a 4:25 kickoff, so let's all get excited.
Yeah, and Tommy, are you Central Time Zone still, or are you different?
Yep. Yeah, Central is I'm just south of Omaha, Nebraska, so pretty as central as it could be.
I'm personally I'm a
there's
fan.
a lot to do there. You can watch the corn grow or watch the snowfall. So you got your choices.
There's a lot more than that. Omaha's a great area. I love it here.
Stunna, weren't you out in Nebraska at one point?
Yeah, man. Hastings, Nebraska, home of the Broncos.
And now we got Cats in the building, another co-host of ours. Cats, welcome into the Buccateers. I appreciate you missing some of Ray's baseball at this point in time to be tapping in their playoff push, my friend.
Oh, well, I mean, I've got the TV on. I've got it muted. Kiermaier is a guest analyst tonight, so I don't really care to listen to him anyway. So, and they're not hitting. So, I can keep an eye on it, though, because I'm too stubborn not to. But I'm glad to be here, coming off of a great Bucs win against the Slimy Saints.
Yeah, briefly before we get into the Battle of Bays, we'll just talk about that quick. We had an epic Bucs win last week, 20-10 over our rivals, New Orleans Saints. They might not call us rivals, but we're damn rivals for sure. They have always talked smack. They've always celebrated to the max. Last week we finally bested him. We've seen a little bit of the old Jameis Winston, a couple turnovers, got a little rattled when he needed to try and play hero ball. Again, Jameis was a good guy here, but times come and go, and now he's a Saints quarterback. So we're used to that stuff. Devin White alluded to it after the game, for those who've seen that they're used to it. Tommy, I kind of just want to get your opinion if you caught any of that Bucs Saints game or what you think about Jameis Winston and the Saints taking the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 2.
I did catch some of that game. I had two games on here. I usually have two TVs going in the garage bar in here. And one was the Steelers and Patriots, and that was a snoozer. But there wasn't a snoozer like the Bucs and the Saints. I remember saying to somebody like, "There has not been a touchdown, it seems like." And then I think the NFL just threw all the touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of all the games. I didn't really I wasn't watching it too much, but it just looked like a defensive battle and Jameis doing Jameis things. And then obviously we saw the fight. Everybody saw the fight, and it came into my mind quick because I was like, oh man, because there was a rumor on Facebook I think it was Schefter or something said he's had history. This could be a suspension. And I was like, oh, wait a second. We got them next week. And I was like, okay, hold on. Maybe we get a suspension out of this. So that was the best part of the game for me was the Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore 6.7, if you will.
Hey, a sticky situation for one is a blessing for another. You guys are the beneficiaries of Mike Evans missing a game, and feel how you want about it. At the end of the day, it's unfortunate that he was I don't mind he's suspended one game, but suspend both these guys. They both been doing it. They both been antagonists. They both been bringing it on. Lattimore, he's always running his mouth and stuff. So to me, if you're going to suspend one, do both. But at the end of the day, we are without Mike Evans after fight night round 6 or 7, whatever the hell it's been. I've seen a lot of comparisons to the Family Guy, the chicken, and Peter Griffin going at it. That's Lattimore and Mike Evans every time they play. So, Cats, what say you about the big win, the big fight, the suspension, and every damn thing in between?
Well, the win's the most important thing. And you don't like to lose a guy, especially of Mike Evans' caliber. And you had at the time a 3-3 game. So I don't know if it swung momentum in the Bucs' favor. Obviously, they ended up. I don't remember what happened on that possession, but the game itself, I thought the Bucs played it well. They didn't force anything. It was obvious early on that it was going to be this type of game. So in the first 2 possessions, I thought the Bucs moved the ball very well. They didn't come up with any points. They had the fumbled exchange and the failed 4th down. So early, it looked like they could move the ball. And I thought they were smart offensively. Normally, I don't like seeing the play calling that conservative on 1st down, but I eventually realized that was the type of game it would be. They weren't afraid of Jameis beating them, nor should they be. Actually, the Saints were fortunate that he fell on his own fumble or someone else fell on his own fumble in the first half. And Bucs defense was fantastic. They kept them in this until finally they were able to, scratch some points across. And when they needed it most, Dennis Allen is a great coach, great defensive coordinator. You can say he's had Brady's number. But on what was the biggest, on the touchdown pass, he rushed, I believe, 3 guys at Brady. Brady had all day, and he made a great throw to Perriman, who made a nice catch. And at that point, I wasn't worried at all. I knew the Bucs were going to win that game. I figured Jameis was going to open up and throw a pick. It happens. He threw another one. I think he then threw another one, maybe. I don't remember. So many picks this guy throws, but then none of them were his fault. It's important to remember that he's a very nice guy, and he tries really hard, and none of these turnovers are his fault, and that's the most important thing. And for any of you FSU fans listening, you can take that with you and do that.
Well, yeah, we got to. I mean, Hall of Famer already, the trajectory, but super quarterback, I guess. Jameis Winston. There you go.
Well, I mean, look. The year is 2032. Jameis is, putting the touches on an okay career as mostly a backup quarterback, perfectly respectable, nothing wrong. And we are still hearing stories about how the 17 different coaches he's had in his career have all held him back from being a Hall of Fame quarterback. And someone may even write a book about it. Who knows? Another book.
The sequel, Jameis 2 of 2, the second coming of Winston.
I need a doorstop anyway, so I need a good doorstop.
So I got the book for Christmas a couple years back because someone was like, "Oh, a book on Jameis, you might enjoy this." I read one page of that damn book, and it was hard to read, man. I think it's somewhere. I don't even know what it's doing now. Collecting a lot of dust, if I even have it still. Maybe a charitable donation it might have been, but I don't want to put any kid through misery to read that book. So
don't donate that one to the library. They'll never let you come back. And they want books, but they don't want that.
Stunna, what say you on the whole situation? The Bucs win, Jameis being Jameis, Jameis 1 of 1 crying on Twitter, like everything, giving all excuses. What say you?
Well, Jameis 101 is consistent. The game, when I saw we had Hockley's kid refereeing, I was very worried. He did what he usually does, which is hold us down in the first half and allow the Saints to do what they do on the back end, which is clutch and grab our receivers and get away with it with impunity. And that's what caused the brawl. Now, of course, Lattimore should have been thrown out. Suspended the same amount of games as Evans. Because his behavior was more egregious. But, the NFL, they don't like the Bucs. Buck hate is real. We're not a national team. So we're never going to get those, we're never going to get basically favoritism. So we know that going in. We're going to be Bucs. We're stand up and be Bucs. And we're going to focus on the first home game of the year this weekend versus the Packers.
And it's going to be a lit Raymond James Stadium. It is our home opener against the Packers, so it's going to be a big crowd. And we haven't been to Ray J in quite some time because in the preseason, we only played our preseason opener there. Then our next 2 games were in Tennessee and in Indianapolis. Week 1, we were on the road in Dallas. Week 2, we were on the road in New Orleans. So we've really been away from Ray J for about 5 weeks now, if you throw in that in-between week from the regular season to the preseason. So I think the crowd's going to be ready to explode on Sunday. Who won't be ready to explode is former Bear Akeem Hicks. He's on the shelf right now with the foot injury. It was reported that he's projected to miss around 3 to 5 weeks. A lot of people are saying the 4-week mark. Some are saying, like Greg Allman, hey, we're not putting him on IR yet. So maybe he's not going to miss that much. Jenna Lane's been saying that a little bit as well. Josh Wells, our backup left tackle, he's now out, likely 4 weeks. So that's an unfortunate injury with the calf strain. Giovanni Bernard was put on IR. Not really worried about him too much. I do like Giovanni Bernard, but he's more of a coach at this point or a mentor at this point anyways, or a backup body. So that one isn't really all too big of a thorn in the ass. To me, the one that stings, and although we know injuries are consistent with this guy, when you give Akeem Hicks that amount of money, you hope he's on the field more than what we're paying him to be on for. And I love what the potential he could bring to the table and whatnot. But to be honest, our defense didn't play much worse without him, if worse at all without him, when Nacho, Raheem Nunez-Roches stepped in against the Saints last Sunday. I thought that it played phenomenal. So, if anything, I guess Hicks is the biggest injury, but I also think he's the most disappointing player of those guys. Katz, what say you on the Bucs injuries out of nowhere all of a sudden in the update on him?
Well, you just hope that it's not long term, like you said. I mean, guys are going to miss time, but the Bucs have to be, especially with some of these older guys, they're going to play the long game a bit and realize, you want to be healthy at the right time. Last year, we were relatively healthy during the regular season, not as much so as the year before. But when it was most important, you saw guys started dropping. So if it's going to happen, they've managed to win 2 games despite that. Hopefully they're fortunate enough. I thought Brandon Walton came in for Wells and did a fine job. The Saints, like I said, we didn't do a ton offensively, but it didn't look like Brady was under too much duress in that game. Didn't really run the ball very effectively. That's not shocking to me against a tough defensive front. But again, I thought they held up pretty well. And it looks like Walton's probably going to be in there again. And that's not an easy task. This is going to be his first start. Not sure what's harder, coming into a game midstream or starting. I think your first NFL start, the jitters might be there a little bit more. But I think he'll be all right and held up okay. Obviously, the tight ends have been helping out in pass protection as well.
Stunna, what say you on the whole thing?
Repeat the question.
Just kind of the injury update.
Okay. Yeah, so our injury situation is very sad. We got we have the best receiving core in the NFL, and they're all hurt or suspended. We came in with a great offensive line, and we've been losing them throughout the years. So it's really kind of a tragedy what we're dealing with. Hakeem Hicks has definitely been a surplus. He was in on most of the tackles the last 2 games. At least if they try to run in the middle. He was really, him and Vita Veda really had a 1-2 punch going. But he was off there injured in Chicago, and honestly, we just need him for the playoffs. If we can get him back, then whatever money we paid him will be well worth it. And I look forward to seeing Mr. Cole Beasley, and with adversity builds character, and Green Bay is no love lost. So I think that we have a real shot this weekend to show out with these new guys and continue that Buck winning way, because we're basically playing Buck ball like we did back in the 90s, which is play good defense, run the ball, take your shots, kick field goals. So I look forward to some more Buck ball this weekend, and of course, another victory. Going 3-0 in the season is very exciting stuff.
Yeah, speaking of Cole Beasley, Tommy, what say you on potentially the Hakeem Hicks injury, or just the addition of the Bucs getting Cole Beasley? I know, again, you're a Packer guy more so, but do you think Cole Beasley has any chance of impacting the Buccaneers at all at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I think he does. He had they were saying like over 80 catches last year, and he went unsigned. I know I follow him on Twitter. He feels like a lot of that being unsigned thing had to do to his vaccination status, whatever you say about that. But his over 80 catches last year with the Bills, that's just one short year ago. And then you put him with, one of the greatest of all time in Tom Brady. And I've been following him because I'm like, we got a lot of rookies, and who knows if Sammy Watkins is going to be healthy? Probably not. Alan Lazard can't stay healthy. So I've been following him for that reason. And of course, as it always happens, another team signs the guy the Packers are eyeing. So Cole Beasley was somebody I wanted on the squad, and now we'll see how he does with the Bucs. But I don't think there's a question that he can contribute.
And there is a story today. Shout out to Dada tuning in, saying test. We appreciate you tuning in. But we got Cole Beasley. Yes, 82 catches each of the past 2 years, so 164 catches, and I think it was 31 games or 32 total games, and I added it up. So this guy could catch the ball. There was a story that came out earlier today where he kind of slid into Tom Brady's DMs. He said, hey, other teams were after me. I kind of wanted to play with Tom Brady. Cole Beasley went out of his way on Instagram to hit up Brady and said, hey, if you need me, I'm here. Well, I guess Tom Brady thought he needed him at some point, hit Cole Beasley up. Next thing you know, Cole Beasley is wearing the number 15, and he's in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform. This guy has great hands. He has great footwork. He's not going to jump up and make those nasty catches. He's not going to bulldoze anyone over, anything like that. But his catch rate is insane. For Bucs fans out there, he's actually had a higher catch rate than Chris Godwin had over the past couple seasons by about 1%. So we all know how reliable Chris Godwin's hands are, but at the same time, now we get a little bit more reliability with the Cole Beasley to help out in that clutch spot. Katz, what say you on bringing in Cole Beasley?
Yeah, I was surprised he was unsigned. I'm guessing it did have something to do with vaccination status and whatnot. And I've also heard that he's a great teammate. Bills players seem to really like him. And I know the Bills don't lack at the wide receiver position by any means, so it's not like they needed him back. But I think it's a great move for the Bucs. Again, it seems like the Bucs were not the only team interested. I'm thankful they were proactive in going and signing him. I believe, and I could be mistaken, I read somewhere that we had double-digit drop passes in this past game. Did I read that right? It didn't look like that. I know there were a couple, but someone I thought said that they had about 10 Bucs. That is.
Yeah, I think they might have missed. I think that's on the year total, if I'm not mistaken. Still a lot, but yeah, it was either for the game or year total. But nonetheless, Bucs have 10 drops.
Yeah, so going out, when you're missing Evans due to suspension, you're missing Godwin. Hopefully you're not missing Julio Jones. And I get a good feeling that Jones, it sounded to me like he wanted to play last week. Of course, you're facing the Saints, a notoriously dirty team. He had some sort of injury. He is an older in relative terms player. So I can understand them sitting him, but I get the feeling they might play him this week. And he looked great week one, more than I expected. He looked like, not old Julio, years past, but he looked very effective. So I think they might have a decent chance of having him available this week. And you put him and Beasley together, it's not your full receiving core, but I think it's a great signing by the Bucs.
Yeah, and Julio Jones that week, he was in there. He was doing end arounds. He came up with a big diving catch, down the sideline late in the game. So Julio was looking pretty damn good out there. Obviously, this is a Julio we're used to nowadays, sadly getting banged up a little bit. So it's a little expected, but he should be back this week, hopefully, if he could go back. And you got Julio, you got Beasley, and then you got breaking news. Our guy, friend of the shows, we had him on the podcast this summer, Buccaneers wide receiver Kaylon Geiger has officially been signed to the active roster for good. He was a call-up last week, and now he's on the active roster and signed officially. So we want to congratulate and shout out our friend Kaylon Geiger. But amongst that, you still got Brashad Perriman as well, Scotty Miller as well. So you still got a plethora of wide receivers, even if you're without Mike Evans, you're without Chris Godwin, which you automatically will be without those two. Then you still got Russell Gage as well. So, you could keep naming guys for days here. They're all a little banged up. Not all of them, but a lot of the premier ones are at least. So we'll see who's in. We'll see who's out come game day. We'll see what's going on with that. And we got a comment now from Loose Cannons Leprechaun, my boy KG. Yep, Kaylon Geiger, that means. And yes, he is here. Kaylon Geiger is here. Shout out to James Rubright watching tonight as well. We appreciate you viewing on Facebook. But Kaylon Geiger's here. And I want to ask, Stunna, we'll start with you. The only action Kaylon Geiger got on offense last week, which is an incredible moment. He lined up a good amount on special teams. He played a good amount of special team snaps. But last week, Geiger's only offensive snap was in the victory formation. Hey, if that's your first play as a pro on offense as a wide receiver, God bless. You're winning the ball game in the victory formation. So, Stunna, we'll start with you here. Do you see Kaylon Geiger carving out a role on game days offensively? And I don't know if you remember, but you alluded to him in the pod way back when in July. You said, hey, carve out a role on special teams. That's how you make your way onto the roster. Well, now he's on our roster primarily playing his special teams.
No, and I agree with that. It was breaking news right on the Buccateers podcast. that special teams was where he was going to carve out his role. Special teams where he's going to make his mark on his team, and I think that's definitely where you'll see him. We need gunners, we need players that can make catches and stuff on the kickoff return, etc. And so he's a guy that could definitely help us in a lot of ways. And like we said on this show, our special teams does need help. So I see Geiger having that role in special teams. He might come in and run a jet sweep or catch a hitch or something. But to beat the who I favor is the NFC North champs. We're gonna have to come with our best players, Gage, Beasley, guys like that, Bashard Perryman. Those are the guys that are gonna have to get the looks this weekend.
Tommy, are you familiar with Kaylon Geiger at all? And if not, are you looking forward to kind of seeing the rookie on Sunday, either special teams offense or just seeing what he could do? He's UDFA, has had a hell of a story, and now he's made his way onto the Bucs active roster.
I'm not familiar. Where's he out of?
Texas Tech. He started at Troy, and then he transferred to Texas Tech, and then he was one of 15 undrafted free agents brought on this summer by the Bucs, and he kept fighting. He made his way to the practice squad last week. He got elevated from the practice squad, and then today he signed a contract with the Bucs to get elevated to their active roster for good. So pretty incredible story for him.
Yeah, I know that. I follow the Packers Twitter every year, and there's always one. I think the last 8 or 9 years we've had an undrafted free agent make the 53, and that's always like a crowd favorite. So I know the feeling of having. For me this year, it was Samori Toure out of Nebraska. That was a bias being a Nebraska fan, as bad as that can be. But Samori Toure made the 53, and he's been a healthy scratch the last 2 games. So hopefully he gets in, but. Yeah, I know the feeling of having a guy that you love have some success with you guys.
And the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl, actually, I was with Skule at the time, Skule Podcast Network, Skule. They disbanded late last summer, not really quite sure what happened, but we used to do these pre-draft and post-draft interviews with guys, and that year, I sat down with 3 UDFA free agents on the Buccaneers. All ended up winning the Super Bowl with them. 2 of them ended up being on the active roster. Nick Leverett was one of the interviews I did. That was incredible. He's now a backup O-lineman for the Bucs. I did Javon Hagan. He was a safety for the Bucs, was on our active roster, played in playoff games that year, even I believe against the Packers, perhaps even. Then I interviewed Joshua Pearson, wide receiver. He never quite made the active roster, but he was on our practice squad the entire COVID year, won a Super Bowl ring. So I love me some UDFAs. These guys are the nitty gritty of all the football players. They have the hardest path to make it. So I think they're really extra motivated to go out there and try and perform well and ball out when they can touch the ball, because they know that they might not get other opportunities elsewhere. So we'll see if Kaylon Geiger could bring it. Loose Cannons Leprechauns says fortune teller stunna. Cats, what say you on Kaylon Geiger? You think he's gonna get a big shot this Sunday or in the future with their offense, or you think he's gonna keep killing it in his special teams type role?
I think you mainly see him in special teams, but you never know. I mean, you might see him get in there and maybe, like Stunner alluded to, run an end around or something. Perhaps see if you can maybe get him out in space. Obviously, you don't expect the opponent to really game plan for him. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. But it's great to see him get up onto the roster like that. You always like to see stories like this. Undrafted free agents obviously work their ass off just to get any sort of opportunity. It's great that a friend of the program, especially, and great dude, is getting the opportunity now.
Yeah, and real quick, I hate Facebook, man. So about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, StreamYard, which we used to stream out of, they changed your updated policy with Facebook. And it used to be so damn easy. You would put in the pre-credentials of the video any time of the day you want within 7 days of the show. and it would post it to your timeline automatically. It'd pop up nicely. Now they overthought the whole damn thing. They create a whole Facebook group for your video. No one's in the group. You got to invite people yourself. I'm not hopping on Facebook, inviting all these people. I don't even know half these friends, got to clear them out, to this group to just watch your damn video. And then it puts the video as private. So my buddy Emod, shout out to him, he texted me, hey, I can't even see your video right now. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I had to change it to public. I was wondering why our Facebook comments and shit have been down the past week and a half. It's because they changed it and they made it a damn freaking loophole to get to. That's totally on topic right now on a different page. But I just had a rant a little bit there. How stupid. You don't even email or anything when we pay for this shit. But nonetheless, you're tuned into the Buccateers podcast. I'm Tampa Tones. We're about halfway through our great show tonight. We got Packers fan and Packer lover Tommy Brown on. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Military man right there. So we appreciate his service and everything he does for the Air Force. That's truly incredible stuff. I used to play baseball with him, coach him in baseball. So just one of the guys hanging out with Kat Stunnett and myself here on the Buccateers. And we're getting through. Loose Cannon's Leprechaun has had some really good input tonight. We appreciate your help there, my friend. And we're getting some views now on Facebook that I found how to make it public as well. So as we bumble through here, we're going to start getting into the outlook of the Bucs-Packer game more so. We're going to list our Packers players to look out for. Stunna, we'll start with you. I ain't going to be cliche and start with the cheesehead. We'll go with a Bucs guy, get his opinion, mix in the cheesehead, and kind of get Tommy's story about how he's a Packer fan and where he, came from as well. But Stunna, what say you on, the Packer player to look out for? Who are you most nervous for this weekend?
Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is basically the last. What happened?
Ayahuasca, baby.
Ayahuasca. I don't know. So, no, Aaron Rodgers, A-Rod, because, man, if you think about it, this is the last Brady-Aaron Rodgers matchup. You know what I'm saying? Ever. So he's going to be. Maybe. Yeah, in the playoffs, maybe. But, we might not see each other. We just see each other last year. See what I'm saying? So you don't know. It's not always going to be coming down to the two of us. So this might be the last one. He's going to be jacked. But the X factor is the heat. Because I work out this shit, and it's hot. It's hotter than the candle out here. All right, you know what I mean? We got a 4 o'clock start. That's going to help our players. It ain't going to make a difference to them. 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night in Florida, it's going to feel different to them. That right there is the same heat that they're experiencing at noon where they're at. You know what I mean? So the heat is definitely X factor in the home crowd. But Aaron Rodgers is a player to look out for, and the big running back they got, Aaron. I don't know his last name. His first name is Aaron, though.
Aaron Jones.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 33. You got to put.
No. Who's the big one? Who's 28?
AJ Dillon.
Yes, that's who to look out for.
Both are beasts. They got one of the better running back tandems, if not the best running back tandem out there right now. So, hey, I think you make some good points there, heat factor and whatnot. But whenever you got Aaron Rodgers opposite of you, you got to bring your A-game. Cats, are you going with Aaron Rodgers and A.J. Dillon, or are you going elsewhere?
Well, that would have been my first as well, but just to be different, I'll say Zadarius Smith. I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about Green Bay these days. Knew a lot more when they were our division opponent, showing my age here. It's been a while. Zadarius Smith, though, from what I've seen in the times I have watched Green Bay, is a very tough guy to block. So the Bucs are going to have to be aware of him.
He's on the Vikings now. Are you talking Preston
he's sacked.
Preston, thank you. See, that shows how bad I am.
Rodgers twice last week or something like that. It sucked.
Yeah, Preston, thank you. Preston Smith. Wow. But Zadarius Smith is a heck of a player, is he not? I hope I'm not completely off. He's still a heck of a player.
He's a hell of a player. Zadarius Smith is a hell of a player. But yeah, he's a purple eater now. I remember the rumors this offseason he was maybe going to go to Baltimore, but then he ended up going to Minnesota. I remember he kind of had some fun with Green Bay, tweeting like, I'm a purple monster or whatever the hell he called himself now, joining the
How
Vikings.
embarrassing for me that I forgot he wasn't there. It just goes to show I used to pay more attention to the rest of the NFL than I do these days. Now I just pay attention mostly to the Bucs and hope I know a little bit else. Preston Smith has looked dangerous, and it's weird because I'm thinking of guys. I'm going to say, like, I'm going to throw out Kabir Diamila and BJ Raji, these guys that haven't been around
Fun fact, Ryan 10-01-89 used to have a Kabir Diamila jersey in his closet. I'll speak to that. That's my older brother, Ryan.
There you go. KGB, I remember he was a very tough guy to block. And
we used to say he had a tough time in kindergarten spelling his name.
That's a tough one to do. And I was about to say Darren Sharper, and he's in jail for 50 years or so. I remember more as a Saint than a Pack, but he played for just about it for Minnesota, Green Bay, and
Our rivalry with Green Bay was definitely during the Sat Favre era. Ever since that's been over, we ain't really seen them or ain't really been like back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. It was heated, and then they moved us out of that division, and it's just only an occasional matchup now. I remember it, very well from my young days, and people always talk about. You argue about, the Saints, are they a rival or are they not? It's like, it's like, the Falcons are a rival. It's just stupid to me. Of course, I'll say this is not a rant. The Saints and the Falcons do have a very large rivalry because they've been in the same division since 1967. It's 35 years longer or so than the Bucs have been in the same division as those two franchises. So that's the reason why I always see people talking about that. And I can always say, I don't give a flying fuck who their rival is and who it isn't. I don't care, But I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, Green Bay, I do think of more so, even though it's kind of, obviously it's outdated. It's been a while. So, but yeah, not Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith. And you're going to have to help me out with the rest of their defense, even though it's a very good one. That's the first name that's coming to mind here. It's amazing how, we just played him a few years ago. Jair Alexander, is he healthy?
Yeah, he's out there healthy. They got Adrian Amos, former Chicago Bear. He's manning the safeties. They got Darnell Savage back there. And then they got last year's first-round pick from Georgia, Eric Stokes is another corner back there as well. And then up front, the guys you look out for a little bit, as you alluded to, Preston Smith, Cats, he's one of the big ones. Kenny Clark's a big one. Dean Lowry's a big one. Those are more so the big guys up front on defense. And then you got Rashawn Gary as well, who's pretty prevalent there. So, you got your guys in Green Bay. But, hey, I agree. Rivalry, call it what you want, whatever. Nonetheless, Preston Smith, that's a good one. Tommy, who you looking out for on the Packers? So far, we got Rodgers, we got A.J. Dillon, we got Preston Smith, and we got comment from Ryan. If I'm Tampa, if you shut down Aaron Jones, you shut down the offense. Yeah, that's, because given the nature of the Packers' depth chart this year right now at this time, you're not really scared of a Sammy Watkins. Now watch him have a classic Sammy Watkins 300-yard 3-touchdown game, and then he'll be quiet the rest of the season. But, Randall Cobb's a little banged up. Alan Lazard is still coming back from an injury, although
Lazard's a walking boot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who can't stay healthy. And then guys, rookies like Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, I think that they eventually burst onto the scene pretty damn good, and they've already made some plays so far. But to me, it is through Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And Ryan also says he still has the KB Kabir Diamila jersey. I butchered the hell out of that as well. So
we're going to need to see that.
Yeah, we're going to need to see picture proof of that, sir. That's an antique item. Cleveland,
he'll probably send me one here on the message.
Before we get Tommy's, hey, that'd be incredible. You could tweet it to the show. We'll retweet it on Twitter. We got Cleve and me, Bucs wideouts versus Packers wideouts. Just this Sunday is the difference. Whose squad steps up more for their general at quarterback? So, Tommy, we'll get your Packer player of the game prediction or Packer player to look out for, and then we'll also get your thoughts on what Cleve and me had to say.
I got two. I'll get you one on each side of the ball, and I gotta disagree with my brother there about Aaron Jones. He had his big game against the Bears, which obviously Roger Stills owns them as always. But I think the guy to watch out for is AJ Dillon on Sunday. They're gonna, I think, to be sustainable, because I think they want to give each of them 15 carries a game this year. To be sustainable, if you got Aaron Jones going off last week, you got to get AJ Dillon rocking this week. You can't just have all these dudes, especially in the Tampa Heat, like Stunna alluded to. But you kind of skimmed over my defensive guy who has all of the talent in the world, and that's Rashawn Gary, even more than Preston Smith. Rashawn, the reason they let Z go, Zadarius Smith, is because Rashawn Gary is that guy, and he just gets better and better. We get in predictions and everything, but obviously Tom Brady has struggled. The minimal times in his career, he struggled getting pressured. And I think our back end is good enough to cover the wide receiver core. And like Cleveland Me said, the wide receiving cores are both, for both teams, they're kind of thin. So I think our back end is gonna cover pretty well. But Rashawn Gary getting the quarterback and pressuring Tom Brady is going to be a huge impact on the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Gary was rising to the scene because they brought in Jalen Smith at one point last season, and they pretty much let him go right away because
the Giants just signed him today.
Yeah, and I think he ended last year with them as well. But
Jalen Smith with the Giants.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because I think that he got. Oh, it was a Whitney Merciless that came in and started balling out for us last year, and then got hurt game 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Smith kind of had a thing where he bounced around a little bit for whatever reason. Former Pro Bowl linebacker with the Cowboys, couldn't find a home for whatever reason. Sometimes that happens in football. You're playing at the top of your game, and the next thing you know, you're down in the dumps. Cats, what say you on the who steps up more for their general quarterback wide receiver room? You got the Bucs stepping up or the Packers stepping up this week?
Well, I am going to take the Bucs here because I do believe that, I think Russell Gage is going to start to learn the offense a bit. I have a good feeling that Julio will play. He might be limited. So I'm going to take ours. That said, obviously, Sammy Watkins is a dangerous player. You always have to respect that. I think they still have, it's tight end, but they still have Tunyon, don't they? Do they still have him? Okay,
yep,
so all right. So see, I didn't Mark Chmura's name. See, I'm at least a little bit with the times.
Mark Chmura should probably be in jail, if we're gonna be honest. I don't know if he is or not.
I was gonna say he was an absolute. Yeah, he's a real scumbag. I remember him very well.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm like, let me name some Packers, and I'm going back to 25 years ago. But Tunyon's a good tight end. The Bucs, unfortunately, have not been able to get the tight ends involved in the passing game. It would be nice to see if we could get something from them. I don't know, whether it be the rookies, whether Cam Brate start to maybe find it a little bit, because it doesn't seem like he's so far been a non-factor. But I do think our receivers can step up, and I think, the Bucs are gonna. Gosh, I don't know. I hate to ever advocate for a conservative. You can't be as conservative against Aaron Rodgers, regardless of who his receivers are, as they were against New Orleans and even Dallas, who just really don't scare you at all offensively. I know the Saints have some good receivers, but I wasn't afraid of them. So the Bucs hopefully will be a little bit more aggressive offensively, not as predictable as they were, even though I totally understood it last week.
And now I'll let Stunna answer a question in a minute, but I might as well give my Packer player to look out for before I completely forget. We all know one of the better tackles in the league, David Bakhtiari. He is questionable once again this week. His biggest problem is staying on the field. They gave him a lot of money. He is the premier left tackle. It's really going to be interesting to see, even if he goes or if it is Yash Nijman, I think that's his name. I could be mispronouncing that one, but I think he did a decent job, an adequate job stepping in last week at least. But I think it's going to be whoever the left tackle is on the Packers, whether it's Bakhtiari coming back from injury, whether it's Yash coming back. And I think them against Shaq Barrett or against a Carl Nassib, those are the matchups to watch out for. That's a Packer player to look out for. Are they going to protect Aaron Rodgers and his blind side in that one? So
I'd tell you this, Tones.
yep.
Bakhtiari is 100% not going to play. I'd put my left nut on that one this weekend. And if he played more than 3 games this year, I would be thoroughly shocked. More shocked than I'd be than the Lions win the Super Bowl this year, because there's something. He gets a setback. They just came out saying he can't practice 3 days in a row.
The Lions winning the Super Bowl. That's pretty.
The Lions
shocking.
winning anything. I'm telling you,
I'm telling you, Tones,
Bakhtiari's career is over.
The Lions are legit.
And I love the guy. I love the guy, but his career is over. He's had setback after setback. He tore his ACL New Year's Eve 2020. Okay, he tore his ACL before the Bucs beat the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and he's still not back. He played 1 game last year and then couldn't go for the playoffs against the Niners. He's had setback after setback after setback, and I'm looking at his buyout here because it's important, because me thinking he's not going to play anymore. He's got a $9.5 million signing bonus in 2023. If he's cut, traded, or retires before that, they owe him $23 million. So honestly, the Packers' best chance here to save any type of money on him is just wait it out for 2023 as well, because if they don't, they owe him a ton of money, and we're just going to have a ton of stuff working against the cap.
Well,
I don't think he plays this year.
I thought your buddies at Nebraska would be patient enough to hold on to Scott Frost until his payment went down. So
you talking about the 3 weeks, the $7.5 million?
Correct.
Yeah, that was a little shocking. You got to be terrible. You got to be terrible, and he was. You got to be terrible at your job to get fired 3 weeks before your buyout drops in half. I mean, he went from 15 to $7.5 million October 1st, and they fired him before that. Like, you couldn't wait. What are we doing? Are we going to go to the playoff game? Are we going to win the Big Ten? Right. You could save $7.5 million on him. And it just goes to show you Nebraska's in shambles. I didn't know I was coming on here to talk Nebraska, and you said Scott Frost. It wasn't me. Okay. What'd you say, Cats?
Did everybody at FSU pay for his buyout? Pay like the FSU fans did for Willie Taggart? They made sure to pay it for him.
I think that was a deciding factor, where there was a conversation between boosters and Trev Alberts, the AD at Nebraska, and I think one of the boosters just said, "That's it. I got it. Put it on me. Get him out of here." Which, hey, if you got $7.5 million to throw around. You don't need to do it on ending a dude's tenure at his alma mater. You don't need to do it. You could donate that to charity and wait 3 weeks. You could do something for it.
Obviously, I'm not going to get on a rant on just the ridiculousness of the not just FSU and the Taggart, just how and obviously how important college football is to people. But I'll just leave it at no comment. It speaks for itself when it comes to boosters buying out, spending all that money to buy out a contract to get rid of a coach. I just think of all the other things that money could be spent on. But that's just me.
Just give it to me. I'll coach. Fuck it.
Maybe they couldn't wait the 3 weeks because he was banging so many waitresses in that town that.
Oh, you heard that rumor too? I thought that was exclusive to Nebraska.
That is leaked through the Illinois grapevines now. And,
wow.
Who knows? Scott Frost may bring his high-powered stick in a city near you somewhere soon.
I heard the rumor went as far as he got like a student pregnant. That's how bad Nebraska takes their football here. I heard that rumor as far as like his wife left him because of that. But we don't need to, I didn't come on here to talk Nebraska. This is hurting me bad. I'm looking at their schedule right now. We got maybe 1 win left on the schedule. I don't even know.
Couple shout outs. Paul Chin is tuned in on Facebook. Love you, buddy. Thanks for tuning into the Buccateers. We appreciate you. Ryan says his KBG jersey doesn't fit anymore. Hey, I have plenty of Bucs jerseys. When I look in my closet, it's like that ain't fitting, that ain't fitting, that ain't fitting, that ain't fitted. It's half fits, half don't fit. So, beautiful thing there. Cleve and me has a question. here for Stunna. And this is exclusively for Stunna, they were saying, and they just want to hear Stunna's input on this and prediction. Whether, since we got Katz's and Tommy's on the other question, we're just going to get Stunna with this question. Weather for the game, I assume Stunna went over heat exhaustion already. Stunna, what say you on the heat of the game again, potentially? And do you have any insight on how the weather might be looking for this Sunday?
Well, it's a 4:00 start. So, you know, it's going to be a little cooler. You know, we might get a forecast for rain or thunderstorm, but if it's dry or it rains earlier than that and it dries up, because like today it rained, and when the clouds went away, it went right back to being hotter than a mug. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be a factor. The heat is going to be a factor no matter what. Even though it's at night, the thing that's saving them is not the radiant energy. Okay, because if the sun was hitting them and it was hot, then that other team would be in trouble. But because it'll be nighttime in the second half, it's still going to be hot, though. Even though it's nighttime here, it's still hot. That's what we've seen here in like a desert, where when it gets nighttime, it gets cool. You know, in Florida, at nighttime, it's still hot. So it's definitely going to be a factor, and look for them to be getting IVs and sweating through their jerseys, etc.
Shit, bro. I remember when I was there. Well, we went to the game together, home against Buffalo last year in December, 4:25 start time. I was sweating profusely, man.
Yeah, exactly, and that's December. All right,
Correct.
That's December. Now imagine this is September.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot hotter. Ryan says, is D-Bot going to play, though? Ryan, we talked about that a little bit, so great minds think alike. Tommy thinks he's done it as a Packer. He thinks he's just, going to, David Bakhtiari.
No, I love him, but yeah, he's done. He's had too many setbacks, and they already came out this year and said he's not going to practice 3 days in a row. That just won't happen ever again. And what does that tell you?
You hate to see it because they're paying him big money too, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a heck of a left tackle. He really is when he's healthy. Heck of a tackle.
But I mean, I don't know what the deal is, and they're holding it close to the vest, obviously, about the knee and the ACL and stuff. But there was a video came out last week. He was limping at practice. That doesn't seem like a guy that's ready to go for an entire season protecting Aaron Rodgers' blind side.
And, that's like our left tackle right now. He's down and out. Donovan Smith, he has a hurt arm right now. If he pushed it to the limit, if it were the playoffs, he'd probably suit up and give it a go. But right now, that's the other thing. 17-week regular season, 17 games now. I'm sorry, 18-week regular season, 17 games now. Still that one bye week only. So you got to not do complete load management with some of these guys, but some more of the veterans on the practice days. It's not a surprise to see some guys get a day off here or there. But when you're saying you're not going to ever practice for 3 consecutive days in a row this premature in the year, coming off that big of an injury, look at James Robinson in Jacksonville. He came off a torn Achilles. He's running his ass off already. Look at Chris Godwin. He came back. He had a couple nice catches. His injury had nothing to do with why he was previously hurt. So these guys are bouncing back from Achilles, torn ACLs quicker than ever. Here you got David Bakhtiari. He might not even be able to suit up ever again.
Yeah, Elton Jenkins tore his ACL week 2 or week 3 last year, and he's our right tackle right now. He can play any position on the offensive line. Absolute steal in the draft, but he's already back. He played last week against the Bears. He's already back. We're going on year almost 3 of Bakhtiari being out.
Yeah, and you're not lying. You love those guys who come back quick and they're ready to go. I mean, you want guys to come back to their own drum as well, but a guy like Jenkins, he puts in the work. He comes back. He has all that success. He could play all that.
I'm not saying it's Bakhtiari's fault or anything. I'm just saying that the surgery might not have. There might be some structural damage in his knee that's holding him back from ever playing in a football game again.
It's like when the Bucs gave Carl Nicks a lot of money. He was a great offensive lineman, came over from New Orleans. He caught MRSA at Tampa, and he was never able to play again. He had to retire, and sometimes you just get an injury or something, and it never fully heals. Let's keep digging and diving here into the Buccateers. We got Huncho, our lovely co-host, saying, I'm tuned in. Hey, it's all right. You're not here, brother. We appreciate you tuning in, so that's great. Ryan says he's only there because him and Rodgers are BFFs. Is he alluded? You know who he'd be alluding to there, Tommy?
Probably Buccateers because he bought him a golf cart. But Ryan's the biggest skeptical person I've ever met in my life. So
hey,
he's there because he was the best left tackle before he got hurt, and if we can get him back for a few games, that'd be fun. Also, I brought you through the cap situation. He's there because they need to keep him there to save some money. A $10 million roster bonus in 23 is better than a $24 million cap hit right now.
Yeah, you don't want to, especially with Rodgers' window. I mean, obviously Rodgers will be playing by that time as well, still too, presumably. But, every year with these quarterbacks, you got to play to win now. So saving that money, saving that cap room so it's not a dead cap hit, whatever that number might be, that really makes things tough with these NFL contracts, although nowadays you see a lot of cap magic happening. We got Leprechaun saying, I love the Heat, Stunna. And then I could allude to this. He says, I offset the Heat with bare-ass tones. So quick story here. Me and my man Leprechaun over here, we were at the Arians Family Foundation golf outing in April with Bruce Arians and a lot of Bucs, a lot of coaches, the GM of the Bucs, Jason Light. Hell of a time. Shout out to the Loose Cannons for hosting the whole of the event. Shout out to the Arians Family Foundation for hosting the event in general. But I was so hungover that day. I partied with some friends the night before. I couldn't drink if I wanted to look at something sideways. It's hot as hot as shit out. I'm yakking all over because I'm so hungover. But I'm trying to meet all these OGs, trying to, we got Vita Vea there. You got Mike Elstad there. You got Bruce Arians there, Todd Bowles there. You can't be off your game with all those dudes there. So I couldn't drink. Here you got my man Loose Cannon's Leprechaun. He was hoeing and humming his way through everything in damn sight, which is awesome. Hot as hell. Hats off to you, brother. You made it look easy out there. And you do offset the Heat with beer. So pretty incredible there. Real quick story. And we'll circle back in here. Rodgers' record playing in Florida is not favorable either. Yeah, well, we know what happened last time he did play in Tampa. Stunna, were you at that game, Packers Bucs?
I was there.
How was the attitude there? I know
it was real weird. Yes, it was COVID, so it was like you could hear in the stadium. You understand what I'm telling you?
Mm-hmm.
Now Stunna. All right. Now imagine if I could yell and the other side of the stadium could hear me.
That was you, Stunna?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is a very famous story. So during the COVID year, we only go to 2 games. Me and my brother go to all the home games. We got season tickets. So the 2 games I chose was Green Bay and Minnesota. Okay. If you watch the end of the Minnesota game, you'll see Kirk Cousins spike his Gatorade. Okay, that's because I was giving him the business and I got his head. He spiked it at the end of the game. So if you ever saw that game, if you saw the end while he spiked his Gatorade, then you know what happened.
And Stunna's row 1 right behind opposing bench. So it's pretty incredible season tickets right there. And our guy Stunna's doing the Lord's work, helping play defense on the sidelines out there, getting in people's heads and doing all that great stuff. So, we'll see what happens there. Rodgers returns to Florida. Cats, your thoughts before we move on here?
He's 1-3, by the way, is what the Packers hit the record. The Packers record in Tampa under Rodgers is 1-3. So, I mean, obviously, that to me that doesn't really mean much right now, but that is their record. So he hasn't fared well here. The one win was in
Miami.
I don't know about Miami.
One of these games.
The one win was the Lovey season.
Jacksonville will have to be thrown in there.
What'd you say, Stunna?
Miami and Jacksonville would have to be thrown in there as far as Rodgers in Florida. But we know It's whenever we used to get the northern teams, if they played us in September or October, that was hell on them.
Too.
Yeah.
I know they beat Jacksonville week 1 in like 2016. It was one of the Rodgers' best throws.
They lost in Jacksonville, I know, last year to the Saints in week 1. I was disappointed in that. I wanted them to win.
Yeah, Ryan was there sweating his ass off.
Yeah.
They had to move the game because of a hurricane. I remember that.
Yeah, we thought it was easy money.
Yeah, I thought so too. So did my wallet, and sadly that took a bit of a cap hit on me. But nonetheless, I'm still here, so my wallet must have survived somehow. But we talked about Packer player to look out for, Bucs player to look out for this time around. Katz, we'll start with you, brother. Who's got your eye on the Bucs battlefield this Sunday?
Shaq Barrett. He's off to a fantastic start. He did a great job against New Orleans, I thought. I thought he had his way with Ramczyk and whoever else they threw at him. He's been wreaking havoc so far, and I think he can do the same against Green Bay. Going to need to get a pass rush on Rodgers. Now, unlike the last two quarterbacks we faced, Jameis and Dak Prescott, Rodgers is a much better pocket presence. He moves around well. Even regardless of how old he is, he moves around in the pocket well, so he's a bit harder to sack, but I really like Shaq Barrett in this game.
Yeah, and that alludes to the same thing as I was kind of talking about when I mentioned the Packers left tackle being my player to watch out for, because you got Shaq up against him, whether it's Bakhtiari or the backup. It's going to be one of those battles to look out for, because Shaq is such a premier pass rusher, and Huncho says our defense owns Rodgers. We have lately, especially under Bruce Arians, well, now Todd Bowles, but this current regime, we've dealt with Rodgers in a manner where we do have a defensive uphand right now on the Packers. So I think Shaq Barrett's a great choice for a player to look out for. Stunna, are you going with Shaq Barrett as well, or are you kind of going elsewhere? And Ryan chimes in, it sucked for the Hurricane game, I'm guessing with the heat or whatnot. But Stunna, what say you on the Bucs player to look out for?
I'm going to go with the same position, but I'm going to say Anthony Nelson. So I'm looking out for Anthony Nelson to come out there and get about 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, and that'd be incredible. He's been bursting onto the scene more and more as time goes on. Every year he plays, he gets a little bit better, in my opinion. Anthony Nelson from Iowa, he's one of those guys who gives it all he's got, and now the production is starting to show as well. So I could really see Anthony Nelson having a nice game as well. One Shaq, one Nelson. I'm going to go, give me a little different here. I'll roll the dice, and I'm going to say the player of the game is going to be, let's see, I was going to go Shaq. So I'm not going to be cliche and go the same thing, though. I'm going to actually say Vita Vea here. And we've seen when the Packers and Bucs played before, you need that nastiness brought from the line, especially the interior of the line. The Bucs used to have Ndamukong Suh and look at that piece of cheese drinking that cheese beer. But we used to have Ndamukong Suh, who was such a presence up the middle, and him and Rodgers have had that rivalry, and they didn't like each other. Suh kind of brought that attitude. I'm hoping without him and without Akeem Hicks, that Vita Vea is kind of the guy to bulldoze his way through and kind of get in Rodgers' face, confront him a little bit. Because to me, if you're able to kind of slap Rodgers around and play tough guy with him a little bit, that's when he tends to back off a little bit. That's when he is off his game a little bit. I feel like when he's rarely off his game, if ever off his game. So maybe I shouldn't even say off his game, but that's when he's vulnerable to me. When you try and make statement plays, aggression plays. We've seen Ndamukong Suh be emotional with Rodgers before in the past several Bucs games, and Rodgers kind of looked a little rattled for at least a couple following drives after that stuff's ensued. So I'm looking for Vita Vea to be the presence in the middle, to be that 370-pound bulldozer taking on two blocks at once and mashing into the face of Rodgers and hopefully causing some pressure. Not saying hit Rodgers bad or anything like that, so calm down, people. I'm saying get pressure on Rodgers out there. So that would be my Bucs player to look out for. But that brings us to score predictions here on the Buccateers as we enter into hour number 2 of the pod. We're not going to be on too much longer, but we are having a great time with Tommy Brown, the man with the plan, the Packer fan. Didn't mean to rhyme there even, so don't think I practiced that or anything like that. But we're going to get into score predictions here now. We've been doing pretty good lately. I got to pull them up. I write them all down. Next week, I'll pull up our standings on who's been closest and who's been most right for our Bucs score predictions so far. We all predicted wins against the Cowboys and Saints, so we're all 2-0 on the year, but I don't know if anyone's actually got the score head on yet. So we'll keep up with that here. Green Bay, Tampa Bay, score predictions, 4:25 Eastern Time, Raymond James Stadium this Sunday. Stunna, let us have it.
My score prediction, Buccaneers 26, Green Bay 17.
So Stunna has Buccaneers, you said 26?
Yes, sir.
And Green Bay 17. There you have it, 26-17. Going to be a field goal type game or maybe a missed extra point type game.
3 field goals.
Okay. I could feel that. Ryan says 24-30, Tampa on top with the sadly after it. So I write down whoever comments a prediction or whatever guest they're on to, I write down predictions. I just kind of keep a little folder and keep it. So you're in the books, Ryan, 24-30. Cats, so far we got 26-17 Tampa, 30-24 Tampa. What say you at your prediction?
24-20 Bucs. It'll be a close one, but I believe the Bucs will pull this one out as well.
Man, we feel like Sunday Night Football, when everyone's on one team. But, hey, it's been like that to this point so far as well. So why not stay consistent? Tommy, I'll go last. You're up, my friend. What's your score prediction for the Battle of the Bays?
Yeah, I think we're going to get Kyle Trask late in the game because it's going to be 31-13 Packers. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think they're going to pressure Tommy early. Not me, of course. Tom Brady. They're going to pressure him early, and the Packers offense is going to get moving. They're going to run the ball, control the clock, and they're going to get after Tom Brady, and our back end's going to cover those receivers.
That would be quite the shock if 31-13, but you never know. I wrote it down. It's in there. It'll be in the
at freezing.
We might be a better road team. You never know,
huh?
Right now, this is our first home game, so we would have to be a better road team if that was the case. We lay down in our own home stadium.
You never know. That's why we play the game. It could happen, but that's not how I see this one playing out. I see this one playing out where the Bucs come out, their defense stays on top of things. We keep pressuring the Packers. We kind of stifle their run game a little bit, with our run defense up front. Raheem Nunez-Roches steps up, has a big game. I'm going with hard-fought affair. It's going to be a good battle. I'm going, give me 24-16 Tampa. I'm going with the 8-point Bucs win here. I really think Devin White gets some pressure on Rodgers. He continues his hell of a year. I think Shaq Barrett has a big game. I think our secondary keens in. And then I think we lean on, guys like Lenny F a little bit, guys like Russell Gage and Cole Beasley if he plays. We lean on our veterans a little bit in this one to try and ensure that we kind of have a upbeat offense a little bit, one that could move the ball a little bit, hopefully, because it hasn't been a premium to this point for Tampa offensively. As Katz alluded to, we've had the drops, we've had this, we've had that, a lot of bullshit happening in Buccaneer land, injuries and drops wise, offensively, yada, yada, yada. Mike, oh yes, we forgot you were going to the game this week, you said, from Canada. Our man Mike is traveled from Canada to Florida. Mike, we hope you're having a great time in Florida, and welcome to the States, brother. We hope you're not melting yet, like the cheese will be melting on Sunday. We hope none of that's going on. So, you stay cool out there, brother. Now we got Thursday night football score predictions before we get to our one big thing walk-off, and we do bounce on out of here. Man, Mike, that's awesome. You were able to tune in. We appreciate you tuning in from Florida on your vacation. That's really cool, man. We appreciate you taking time out to watch us as always. All right, guys, tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern time, you got the fight in Mason Rudolphs against the fight in Myles Garrett. You got Browns, you got Steelers. It's the battle of the ass quarterbacks. Not Deshaun Watson grabbing ass. That's Jacoby Brissett and Mitch Trubisky playing like ass. So you got two underperforming quarterbacks, two teams that have playoff hopes and aspirations, but they're going to have to get some better play out of their quarterbacks. And I know that the Browns defense was the reason of the totality of the Jets 14-point, 1.5-minute comeback with Joe Flacco last week. But at the end of the day, if that offense made a few more plays, they're not in position to lose that game. And to me, that's what makes the difference with Jacoby Brissett. And that's why I got Pittsburgh winning this one in an ugly game tomorrow, a dog shit game, uglier than the Cleveland Browns helmets and uniforms. I go with Pittsburgh winning this game 20-14. That's all I'm seeing. I see Najee Harris having a big game, finally making his way into the end zone for the first time since week 1. So we'll see if that could hold true. Tommy, we'll go with you next. Thursday Night Football, Browns Steelers. Who you got?
Yeah, I see it the same way as you, and I got my girlfriend here is she's a Steelers fan, so I don't want to answer wrong, but I actually do see this because I will say I had the Patriots last week, -2.5 that paid me out, but plus I opened this spread up not thinking that it was going to be a larger than like 1 or a pick 'em, and to see the Steelers +4.5, I got to ride with that. I'm taking the Steelers +4.5, but like you said, I got it. I got a 3-point game. We'll call it. It'll be stupid. Probably 17-10, or excuse me, 17-14.
I like that score as well. Stunno, what say you?
I can't see the Browns going 0-3. I mean, that'll be their season. So I'll probably see the Browns winning it 24-21.
And we got a comment from Nick. Go Packers. Can't wait to beat the Bucs. There you go, Nick.
There we go, Nick. Hey, Nick, cheers to you, man.
Nick is a fraud. That's all I'll say right now. Nick is one of these guys.
You think it's a burner?
I don't know. All I know is Nick is a fraud.
You think that's KD on his burner?
This is Scott Frost hearing us talking bad about him earlier.
If Scott Frost heard what I said, he wouldn't agree with me, man.
Well,
but the Browns are 1-1. They're not going 0-3. They're 1-1 right now. They're both teams are 1-1.
Yeah, Cats.
No, the Browns lost to the Jets, and I guess they did beat Carolina. My fault.
Yeah, the Baker Bowl.
Yeah,
I bet on the Panthers.
And Carolina barely lost that one. I think they lost by 1 or something like that. But yeah, I think Steelers money line bet is in my near future here. Cats, what say you on the score prediction Thursday Night Football? The Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, even though he had the same score prediction, I had it in my mind. I'm not going to change it. 17-14 Pittsburgh as well. I think it's going to be a very ugly game. But the Steelers still can play defense. We've seen that already play out in the first 2 weeks, and I think we're going to see that again.
And don't get me wrong, this ain't the worst matchup in the world nor a bad game by any means, but after having Chargers Chiefs last week and then week 1, although that turned into a blowout, you had Rams Bills. This matchup is an interesting one, but it could be a good one. It's going to be a defensive game. Don't expect too many fireworks here. If you got fantasy players, if they're not named Chubb, Hunt, or Harris, don't roll too much faith in them. Amari Cooper did go off last week, but this Pittsburgh defense is vaunting out there. So be careful. Be careful who you activate heading into Thursday Night Football. But we got a bigger one on Sunday, folks, and that's what we were here to talk about mainly tonight. That's Green Bay heading to Tampa Bay, 4:25 Eastern this Sunday in Raymond James Stadium. The place is going to be electric, and it's time to wrap up sadly. We're already at the hour and 15 mark. It's been an incredible time. We're going to do our one big things and our walk-offs for this weekend. Tommy, if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of, we go around and say one big thing we're looking forward to in Sunday's game, and then a walk-off, what to expect this weekend in sports or whatever. So, Katz, we'll start with you, my friend. One big thing, one walk-off, and thanks for making time with the busy Rays playoff night on the line, potentially.
They actually scored a run to tie this game. They haven't scored in 2.5 games. We'll see if they don't give the lead right back. Hopefully not. As the Astros, boy, they make me sick.
Could we get a score up? What's the update, or what's the score of the Rays Astros?
It's 1-1 now. Yeah, 1-1. I hate the Astros because of a lot of reasons. I won't even bother with that. But not as much as some other teams, but I really don't like them. For this weekend, and don't take offense to this, because you seem like a cool Packer fan, but the Packer fans that live here are not cool. They're very annoying. They're all over the place. They drive very slow in the left lane. I don't like them. They're annoying. I said that already, but it bears repeating. And any of them that go to this game on Sunday, I hope they have a horrible time. And I'm looking forward to the Bucs coming out with a victory. And I hope that they're treated we're very hospitable generally down here. Sometimes too much so for my liking. So I hope that the Packer fans are at the game are treated pretty rudely, and I hope they leave with their tails between their legs.
Bears fans. It's not going to be worse than Bears fans. Don't worry about it.
We're not. Oh, Bears fans are assholes as well.
Bears
They're
fans
bigger
are mad at
assholes.
themselves.
Actually, Bears fans are bigger. I've experienced Bears fans to be the worst. As someone who's been a Bucs fan for almost I'm not going to say how old I am. A long time. Yeah, Bears fans are always been the most ridiculous.
They're so bad because they're mad at themselves.
Well, it sucked for quite a long time, but yeah, they've always been very annoying. But yeah, I don't. The opposing fans that live here are the most disgusting cockroaches. And yeah, I want them to go home, to their houses in Tampa or Clearwater, St. Pete, wherever they might live, unhappy.
Oh, nothing like a cat's rant. I love that. And yep, let's not get you started on the Astros, huh?
No, let's not go there. They're really good, but I'll give them that. They're a great team, and I'm not gonna. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna get started on them anywhere else.
Well, hopefully we could find a way to come out on top against Houston, and we'll see. Mike says I miss the NFC Central days, and he predicts 24-14 Buccaneers. Stunna, what's your walk-off? What's your one big thing to watch for this weekend?
My walk-off is, let's get excited, man. Let's get excited as Buc fans. We waited a long time to have the kind of success we're going to have this season, and let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, just embrace the moment, embrace these times, because, they're not forever. And they definitely have been a long time in coming. So just, as one Bug Nation, let's get excited, and let's definitely represent. I want to see our stadium full. And, what am I going to look for? Look for them firing the cannons, man. I want to hear them cannons fire. That's my walk-off. Fire the cannons.
Hell yeah, fire the damn cannons. Let's go, Bucs. As Gene Deckeroff would say, toe to leather this weekend at Raymond James Stadium. Going to be a hot one out there. Let's go, Bucs. Fire the damn cannons. I'll start up the gut. Let's go, Tampa Bay. Loose cannons, leprechaun, giving the sunglasses and thumbs up. But Gene Deckeroff here. Let's go. Fire the damn cannons. Toe to leather, Tampa Bay. Touchdown, Bucs. Touchdown, Bucs. I'll start up the gut. Fire the damn cannons. Man, I'm going to miss Gene when he retires from Tampa ball one day. Thankfully, he still around Bucs. He retired from FSU. Tommy boy, what's your one big thing and walk-off? Thanks so much again for joining the show, brother. And also tell the people where they could follow you at on Twitter or elsewhere, wherever you might have a following.
You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. It's at Tommy 3_ and Brown. It's tough with my name to get my handle on anything, but I do have it on Snapchat. I don't use it anymore. But which one's the one big thing? Which was the walk-off? What's the parameters on it?
It's kind of all in the same. Like, one big thing is just something you're, keeping an eye on this weekend. And then a walk-off is one statement or one.
Okay. I got you. Okay. My one big thing is who can take the top off of the other defense this week. These guys are going to try to hit shots over the top, just like they did in Week 1. The Packers try to hit Christian Watson, but like these quarterbacks know they got to stretch the field, and the run game's not going to work if they don't go over the top. So either whether it be Scotty Miller, Christian Watson, somebody fast, one of these quarterbacks is going to hit one over the top, and I think that might be the difference in the game. And then my walk-off is just Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. How lucky are we? How lucky are we? Unfortunately for me, hasn't gone as well as I would like it to go, but we're talking about the two greatest to ever wear the number 12 in the history of the game, and two of the greatest talents to ever play this game. So we get to watch that on Sunday, so we should enjoy it. And like Stunna said, it might be the last time we get to see it. Hopefully not. Hopefully we get our redemption in the playoffs. But Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, that's a matchup to be remembered.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point about the quarterbacks coming to an end here. We've seen so many good ones in recent memory fade away from us. The pocket passer era, I call it. We've seen Brett Favre come and go. We've seen, sorry, someone just tweeted at me some nonsense right now. I was like, what the hell's going on? We've seen Favre come and go. We've seen Warner come and go. We've seen Manning come and go, both Mannings. We've seen Drew Brees come and go. We've seen a lot of legends in the Phillip Rivers, another one. We've seen a lot of good guys. Ben Roethlisberger, another one. I could keep naming names, but we got to enjoy these last era of the tough as nail quarterbacks, because a new breed is coming. They're more runners and gunners, and not saying they're not tough guys, but it's just times are changing. They're different style cats. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. They're all great quarterbacks, but I could already remember all of them missing a football game before. And some of these guys, it doesn't go that easy. I mean, obviously Rodgers had one season where he was a little banged up. Brady had one season where he was a little banged up, sure, but those were big injuries. Nowadays, you see guys missing time here and there. You see a lot of scrambling going on. You got to respect the Hall of Fame greatness from Rodgers and Brady and all those such. You get throws out of these guys you'll never see again one day. You get the smartness and the guts and the glory out of these guys you'll never see again on the field one day. These guys love football. These guys breathe football. Everyone always tells me, how's Tom Brady's marriage going? I go, it's great, because he's married to the game of football. That's his first marriage, and it's true with some of these guys, and you don't get that nowadays anymore. So my walk-off more so is in line with yours. Appreciate these quarterbacks while we still have them on NFL Sundays, because it could be the last time ever we see the Brady-Rodgers matchup. And my one big thing is I'm anxious to see. I'm really anxious to see, like Tommy was alluding to, whose wide receiver group steps up, who opens up the run game for their offenses, who's going to sneak one over the top to kind of break off the 8 men in the box type atmosphere for a defense, perhaps. So really interested to see who's able to squeak one out. Is it going to be Sammy Watkins? Is it going to be Scotty Miller? Is it going to be Brashad Perriman? We'll see who that burner maybe be. Mike has a couple more comments. My walk-off win this game for Mike Evans. Hell yes. We got to win it for Mike. He's obviously suspended. We alluded to that earlier in the episode. He got 1 game suspension, repeat offender, whatever. At least it's early in the year instead of late in the year. That's all I can say about that. And Mike also says, I hope the Buccaneers run out of cannon powder. So that'd be a lot of cannon shots fired. Stunner, are you going to the game this Sunday?
You better believe it.
There we go. We got Stunner in the building on Sunday, and I'm sure Cats will be watching loud as proud in the Tampa area as well.
Yes, sir.
Any last words, guys? Are we ready to close out and head on home?
Might as well wear the creamsicle because it's going to be a throwback. Go Bucs.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you got an Acme Packers against Creamsicle Buck uniform battle, but
yeah, it would be. But y'all are making us wear our dark uniforms in Tampa again.
So you're
That's
sweating your
okay.
ass off. That's what we do. We wear
You're
white
gonna be
at
sweat-
home a lot.
You're playing football. You're gonna be sweating your ass off anyway.
You
It
are.
doesn't. It makes about a 5 to 10 degree difference.
Do you know what? You know what I do think is I do want to notice the Packers, their uniforms, it's a line across the chest and it's mesh underneath. The rest of the NFL goes for the modern Nike uniform. I've never understood why the Packers haven't gone to that, where it's all mesh. Look for that on Sunday, you'll see it. But it's all mesh from like the chest underneath, and it's like it hasn't changed since like Brett Favre and before. I just don't understand why they keep sewing them that way, no matter who's the manufacturer. It's a uniform question. I've researched it through and through, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, because we're all on Nike now. Every NFL team's made by Nike, and they've came from Adidas, Reebok. Back in the day, they used to be made by Russell. You name it. So it's interesting that the Packers do still have that old school mesh look that teams kind of started moving away from in the year of 2012, 2013-ish through now.
Yeah.
You've seen since Nike's taken over making every jersey, you've seen that a lot more prevalent, the mesh kind of getting taken away, kind of making uniforms more aerodynamic. I don't know the appropriate word, but
you can't keep it that tight with mesh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and one last comment on that is if you ever see the video of Vita Vea trying to take off his modern day type jersey after a game last year where he literally has to have two guys pull his jersey off because he's trying to do a jersey swap on the field, and he can't get that thing off because it's so sweaty and compacted on him. So, you see two people run over there and they're trying to help him get the damn jersey off. It was just the funniest thing ever. But something to look out for. We'll definitely keep an eye on the Mesh Packers jerseys, guys. This has been a Buccateers. Tommy Brown, great co-host. You can follow him at Tommy3_Brown on Twitter or on Instagram. Either way, you can follow our guy Stunna. You know where to find him at TSPN_. And then Cats, I believe you're a Catsman83, correct?
Oh, and then they go. Stay fair, stay fair, stay fair. Yes!
Nick Castellanos
The Rays have actually grabbed the lead. The Rays, Isak Paredes. It's been us a lead. Folks, I cannot not be passionate. I'm sorry. I was actually offered a ticket to this game, but I went to the gym. Who knows? They could still blow this. I went to the gym earlier, got some workout in. A_Catsman83. I'm going to tweet about the Bucs, the Bolts, and the Rays. And people say, which team do you like the most? And I say, I like them all equally. There's just, that's about it. So I try to keep them all together, and I'll throw in as you know, I will tweet about Law and Order SVU, even though Tones, I'm sure you've heard this, that our gal Amanda Rollins is not going to be on this show anymore after episode 9. Very disappointed in that.
And I did hear that. I did hear she's stepping away, and they got quite the extravaganza.
They're fired. They forced her out, man. If she was stepping away, that'd be one. They forced her out, and I'm pretty mad about that, but I'll get over it.
And we kind of got a little bit of breaking late news here. The Ravens are expected to sign former Bucs defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul. So he was in the building with Baltimore today. He visited with them this summer, and now, according to Twitter, Jason Pierre-Paul, not official yet, but he's expected to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. And so is former Giants linebacker Blake Martinez to kind of help shore up their veteranship.
Blake Martinez, former Packer.
Yeah, and he had over 100 tackles that 1 year with the Packers or with the Giants. Giants gave him a lot of money. He had the success with the Giants, but he was, on the way to stardom, and then an injury cost him last season, and then Giants had no use for him. But nonetheless,
Tones, I've just looked this up. In Maryland, most fireworks, including bottle rockets, firecrackers, and Roman candles, fire balloons, and signal lights, are legal. So that's something to watch out for.
I wish JPP nothing but the best. He was a terrific Buck, great leader, great player on the field. I wish him very well.
I love JPP too, and hey, that is something to look out for. Hopefully the man could keep it. He likes to have fun. One hand was a little telling of that, but as Katz alluded to, JPP was a great guy.
Great Buck, great USF Bull. So absolutely wish him nothing but the best, except for when the Ravens play us, which they do play us. So yeah, other than that, though, I wish him nothing but the best.
And Mike says Tampa happening sports town. I think he was excited about Katz's broadcast of the Rays game. That was awesome. I'm glad we got that on. It did remind me of the Castellanos hits one into the, but it was
There's nothing bad going on. Yeah, nothing bad happening when he hit this that I know of. Hopefully, that's one of my favorite memes. And there's a drive into. No, Paredes got all of that, and but I just didn't quite have the energy to get there tonight, even though I was offered a ticket. But in any case, yeah, Tampa is fun. We got, the Lightning are going to start again, if you can believe it. It's only been feels like yesterday, just finished last year. So yeah, amen to that.
Tampa, the city of sports now, the city of champs, Tampa Bay, the Lightning, the Bucs, the Rays. We've been representing champions. So I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. We're at over an hour and a half now. We've been rattling on. It's been incredible, though. I hope you guys like this Buccateers. We talked Bucs Packers, Thursday Night Football. We even talked Nebraska, whatever the hell you could think of. We discussed just that. Tommy, we hope to have you on the show again very soon, brother. We hope
Playoffs.
Playoffs, or during our bye week, we kind of do this little gambling/fantasy show. And Mike says I'm also going to Rays Jays on Saturday at Tropicana. So
awesome. Great.
Mike has a great weekend. He's going to Rays Jays Saturday and Packers Bucs Sunday. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that is outstanding.
Mike, I hope they tie on Saturday and lose on Sunday.
I
hope you're still at the game on Sunday in extra innings.
Yeah. It lasts that long where the fans start missing. But Mike, have fun that weekend. Tommy, we'll either see you on our bye week or maybe in the playoffs, brother. Stunna and Cats, I'll talk to you guys very soon, fellas.
Absolutely. Have a great night, y'all.
Have a great night. That's been the Buccateers, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again, as always. Follow us on Twitter at Buccateers. Follow us on Instagram at Buccateers Pod, YouTube Buccateers Podcast. Catch the instant replay on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, Deezer, so much more. It's been incredible. Thanks again for joining us this Wednesday night. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Forgot to say fire the damn cannons, and that's the end now. Go Bucks, baby. Let's go.